Hey, what up, everybody? This is Steve Bridge coming to you. Got a heavy one today from Amazon.com. I was honestly very, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess I was sort of upset. Maybe not really upset, but that Ravi got this 2 days ago. 2 days ago, he bought it from the United States, and he doesn't even live in the United States. They had to ship it to Canada, and he got it faster. I ordered it before he did. I have no clue what happened here, but here it is. I've been waiting for this for 10 years. Hardback edition of The Death of WCW. One of the best wrestling books I've ever read. I remember picking this up back in the day off of just a normal Barnes & Noble bookshelf. The Death of WCW, R.D. Reynolds and Brian Alvarez. I've read this book at least 4, maybe even 5 times. This is what the first edition looked like. This was softback, or whatever you want to call it, 334 pages, and it's had a pretty cool cover back in the day. You had Eric Bischoff, you've had Kevin Nash. I think everybody's seen the video of Kevin Nash when somebody handed him the book and asked him what he thought about it, and he sort of spouted off about everything that was wrong about the book without even reading it, basically thinking that he was going to be the reason why he was going to be the reason that they said that WCW died. When spoiler alert, it's not even Kevin Nash's fault at the end. But you got that stoned out look of Eric Bischoff. I bought this back in the day, honestly, because it wasn't because of Brian Alvarez and Figure 4 Weekly or the Wrestling Observer podcast. I wasn't even listening to that. I've been a subscriber to Brian Alvarez for the last 2 years, and I've loved every minute of it. You get tons of podcasts. A lot of people are down on the website if they've never subscribed to it, but once they subscribe to it, it's honestly one of the best bargains is out there. I met Brian Alvarez at WrestleMania this year, and he signed my book for me, and so I will be in the mark line once again trying to find Brian to get him to sign this edition. Pretty cool stuff. This one's going to be ranking in at, it looks like 420 pages of goodness. You would think, why would you buy the same book twice? When the first book was written 10 years ago, it had a low word count. They had to write things out. And a lot of things that I've heard R.D. Reynolds talk about when he talks about the book, he used to say that, they didn't even write about the NWO Wolfpack because they didn't have time to do it. Or they didn't have space to do it, I guess. In this book, they go back, they pump it up, they go through each chapter, and they make sure that they have enough stuff that they're going to be able to put, because they knew that this book was going to sell. They sort of cut, they didn't cut them out at all. So you can see it's a pretty thick thing. Best thing about it is it's a hardcover, so it looks really nice. I treat books like trophies, honestly, because I don't read a lot of them, and the ones that are on my shelf are because I've bought them and I've conquered them. I've been looking forward to this. One of my favorite things about reading this book is it does read like a story, but when things get really important and they put in, like, I call them Meltzer stats when I read the book the first time, is you get sort of a break in the action. You can see there's like a line there and a line there, and you get some boldface type, which breaks away from the normal type, and that like sort of just tells you facts about what was going on at that point that don't really fit into their. It's almost comedic the way they do it, but I love R.D. Reynolds. I love Brian Alvarez. R.D. Reynolds I used to listen to on the Wrestle Crap podcast, and it was pretty religious, that show. It was my number one favorite podcast at the time. Him and Blade Braxton, they wrote their own book, the Wrestle Crap Book of Lists. R.D. has another book that's out just called The Wrestle Crap, with co-authored by Randy Baer, and who knows what the hell happened to that guy. But this is going to be an awesome book to conquer. You got an awesome picture of Sting and Hogan there in the background, and looks like they have different pictures in here. They're a little bit faint to see, but you got Hall and Nash, you got Hogan there on the bottom. Looks like Russo and Eric Bischoff on the top. But this is going to be a great book. Head on over to Amazon.com. I can't remember how much this was, but it couldn't have been that much. So definitely check this out. Most people will say, I don't read that much. You're going to want to read this. I mean, never has, somebody chronicled the life of a wrestling company. This basically starts out, from the NWA days, talking about Ric Flair, Lex Luger, everything that was great about the company at the time when everybody loved Loved it. And then you had the huge expansion. The Crockett's almost killed this company, and they had to sell out because they got too big too fast. Ted Turner took over the company, and from there, Eric Bischoff was put in control, and he tried to grow this even more, and it worked. But basically, the company took on too much, where they were just signing up any WWF talent out there just so WWF wouldn't have them. They used to have a roster that had I remember one of the funniest stories I ever heard was in Chavo Guerrero on the Chris Jericho podcast, and he talked about the World War III pay-per-view, which basically was a 90-man battle royal. 3 rings, 30 guys in each one, and he would say that the WCW would fly in wrestlers that weren't even used on the card. I'm talking about a roster that was over 100 people deep at one point to do just basically Nitro, Thunder, and the Saturday Night Show. There wasn't enough room for everybody that was there, but WCW kept signing everybody. One of the weirdest signings I can ever remember was when WCW went out and they bought this guy up. They gave him a contract to go to the power plant and train. Just because he had the largest biceps in the world. They didn't care if the guy could work or not. He just looked like a beast. So they were going to find something. They gave him money. We never saw him on television. I wish I knew what that guy's name was. You can go look him up. But there's more stories like that in this book. Go check it out.